In this video, I'm going to compare the Majestic Mirage in Punta Cana with the Majestic Elegance in Costa Mujeres, Cancun, so you can make the best decision of which resort you want to visit, or maybe you want to go to both like I did. But at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you who I think did it better. Let's start with the beaches, because the beaches are always a priority when I vacation, and it really was a hard choice because they do both have beautiful beaches. So let's start with the beaches at the Majestic Mirage in Punta Cana, and it is an ideal beach experience. If you love beaches, then you will love the beach at the Majestic Mirage. In fact, that's why I love Punta Cana, because they always have a very consistent beach experience, which is what I'm looking for in a vacation. And to me, that means there's plenty of seating, the sand is beautiful, the water is beautiful, the water is warm, and you can swim in it, and you can walk the beach, and you could literally spend all day on the beach. There were times when it got a little windy, so we had to go to the pool. But overall, it was an amazing experience. There were a lot of vendors on the beach that didn't bother me, but it's something to think about if that might bother you. But in terms of the beach, it is a 10 out of 10 at the Majestic Mirage in Punta Cana. So now let's go over to the Majestic Elegance in Costa Mujeres, and another really good beach experience. So that means lots of chairs. You're not fighting for chairs. The water, the color of the water was crystal clear blue, and the temperature was so warm, and it was clean. So there was a little seaweed in the morning, but they cleaned it up, and there was very little in the water. There was no rocks or anything like that. The sand was beautiful, very walkable. The only little thing was that it was windy at that part of Cancun. So sometimes you couldn't sit and enjoy the beach, and you also couldn't take out any of the motorized water sports. Then the beach was very wide, so you did have to walk a little bit from the buildings to get to the beach. So if you had to use the restroom, or you wanted, some more drinks and the server wasn't there, you had to walk back. So who did it better when it comes to beaches? The Majestic Mirage in Punta Cana, in my opinion, did it better, although they were both great beach experiences. In Punta Cana, there was easier access to the beach, shorter walk to the restrooms, to the bars, to the resort. You had a lot easier access. Also, it was less windy, so you could sit under umbrellas and also use non-motorized water sports. So now let's go to the pools, and the pools at the Majestic Mirage in Punta Cana did have a little bit of an odd layout for me, as I mentioned in the complete review. So they did not have a main pool in this resort. They just had a lazy river layout. So if you wanted to sit by the pool, you were actually sitting in a section of someone else's swim out. So all the swim outs led to this lazy river pool. And for me, I prefer a main pool. So they did have activities and they did have a lot of things going on, but you just never really saw them because there was no main pool at this resort. They did have areas for family and areas just for adults only, but again, I just felt like the layout was not conducive to a normal resort experience when it comes to pools. So over at the Majestic Elegance in Costa Mujeres, even though it was a smaller resort, they had a really nice pool layout. So they had a main pool, which was for families and adults, but it was really neat. It was like 2 stories almost. So they had an infinity pool that went down looking over into the main pool area, and they had a ton of activities. There was always something going on. Also, they had 6 different swim-up bars that were all open, unlike the one in Punta Cana, where they didn't have any swim-up bars open, and I know that was because of COVID. So I'm not going to judge them on that. But here they did have 6 swim-up bars that were all open. One downside, though, was their adults-only pool, and it was really small, and there was not a lot of seating around it. So for me, the Majestic Elegance did it better when it comes to pools, and really it was because of the layout. I like to have a main pool layout. I wasn't a fan of the lazy river layout. Also, all of the swim-up bars were open. But I need to mention, I know that I traveled during COVID, so I don't want to judge it completely on that, because my understanding is that at the Majestic Mirage, you have access to all of the other Majestic properties, which are literally next door. So I'm wondering if we had that because everything was closed when we were there, if I would have enjoyed the pool experience better. But for this review, I'm going to say that the Majestic Elegance did it better. So now let's go over to the food and the drinks. And let's start with the Majestic Mirage in Punta Cana. They had 5 different a la carte options at night. You did have to make reservations. And then they did have a buffet. They had a buffet near the lobby. They also had one over by the beach. And one thing I loved about this resort was the cafe. They had a really nice little cafe that you could go to all throughout the day, but in the morning with really good coffee and little pastries and drinks. And then they also had a 24-hour sports bar. It was open 24 hours if you wanted to get snacks and drinks and, be entertained throughout the night. They also had 24-hour room service, which was great, especially when we were going on an early morning trip. They were able to deliver the food early, and it was really good. The drinks were great as well. They had high-end liquors, and they had a lot of different craft cocktails, so loved that. And the restaurants, the overall quality was good. I gave it an 8 out of 10 in my review. And, they had different options. They had hibachi, they had French, they had Italian, and we had a good experience at most of them. Our favorite was the hibachi. So I have to say, overall, it was a really great experience when it came to food and drinks. So now let's go over to the Majestic Elegance and Costa Mujeres, and there are some similarities, but some differences as well. One of the biggest differences is that you do not make reservations at this resort. So you just have to walk up and put your name on a list, which I did not like. I know some people prefer that. I prefer having the reservations. Also, the a la carte restaurants at night were really not that good. But the buffets were completely outstanding. In fact, I like the buffets better in Costa Mujeres than the one in Punta Cana. They also had the 24-hour room service, which we took advantage of, and it was good as well. But they did not have a 24-hour club open like they did in Punta Cana. So they did have the sports bar, but that was only open until like 2, I think. Maybe it was 4. But they did have the Majestic, which was their version of fast food, which you could get late night food, but it was not 24 hours. Now the drinks I actually liked better in Costa Mujeres, but I have to say it's biased because they had my favorite tequila, which was Patron Silver. You don't find that a lot in resorts. They also had fresh juices and a lot of different craft cocktail options, which I love. So even though I enjoyed the food and drinks at both resorts, I have to say the Majestic Mirage and Punta Cana did it better when it came to food and drinks, and really because of those a la carte restaurants at night. They were a lot better, and also because you could make reservations, which I prefer. They also had the 24-hour option bar and restaurant, which Costa Mujeres did not. Even though I didn't take advantage of it, it's nice to know that that is always there. And even though I like the drinks better in Costa Mujeres, honestly, they were both equal. They had great drinks. So now let's quickly review the service at both resorts and see who did it better. So let's go to the Majestic Mirage in Punta Cana. And honestly, I don't want to pay too much attention to this category because we went to this resort in January when there's still a lot of restrictions because of COVID. So they were very short-staffed and it was not fully open. So there were a lot of factors that really made the service probably not the best that it could be. However, over at the Majestic Elegance and Costa Mujeres, it was noticeable the better service that they gave. The employees were happier, the service was quicker, and overall a better experience. So while I don't want to judge the resorts based on the time that we went, in this experience, the Majestic Elegance and Costa Mujeres did it better. So now let's finally go to the activities and see who did it better. So let's start with the Majestic Mirage in Punta Cana, and they always had a ton of activities going on. There was a list right in the middle of the resort of everything that was going on. However, it was reduced because of COVID. So they still had the shows at night, but the club was not open, things like that. So I know under normal circumstances, they would have a ton of activities. They also did have non-motorized water sports that you could use that were complimentary, and motorized water sports that you could use if you wanted to pay extra. Because of the closures, there wasn't that much to do late night in terms of a club, so that part was a little boring. However, the casino was open if you like to take advantage of something like that. They also had a fitness center and a spa as well if you like those types of activities. They also had that great tour company, and we went on that amazing trip to La Saona, so there were a lot of different tours that you could choose from too to stay busy. So now let's go to the Majestic Elegance in Costa Mujeres, and again, a ton of activities. There was a lot to do, and they were posted daily, either in the lobby or in the TV in your room. I actually participated in more activities here because of the central location of the pool. I found it easier to see the activities and participate in them as well. Also at night, more was open, so they definitely had more of a nightlife at this hotel. A little bit more of a party crowd, I would say, rather than the one in Punta Cana. So I did like that a little bit better, although no casino. Their fitness center also had a lot of organized activities, and they had that great spa, which I actually went to one day. The tour company was also on site, and I really wish I had taken a tour, had the time to do it, because they looked like there were so many amazing tours. So that's something I'm definitely going to do next time when I go. One thing this resort had that Punta Cana didn't was a teen club. Even though there wasn't a lot in there, it was at least something. And also they did have a kids club as well. Both resorts had a ton of activities, and I know if I had gone to the one in Punta Cana when everything was open, they probably would have had more to do. But based on the two experiences that I had, this time the Majestic Elegance and Costa Mujeres did it better. So final thoughts on the Majestic Mirage in Punta Cana versus the Majestic Elegance in Costa Mujeres, and who I think ultimately did it better. And it's a really tough choice because I really like both experiences a lot. And in fact, the cost is the same. It's $400 per night on average for 2 people. But if I had to choose one, it would be the Majestic Mirage in Punta Cana. And really because I don't feel I got to experience the whole resort because of the closures due to COVID. So I want to go back and really be able to experience the resort when everything's open, so I can try the Majestic Resorts next door and really get the full experience. And when I do that, I'm going to bring you that complete review. I hope you found this comparison video helpful and useful. And if you did, please like and subscribe and follow us on 3 Days and Tres Noches while we take you on fun, exciting, affordable adventures and vacations that you can have in a really short amount of time.